Well, welcome once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity, where we share uplifting messages about spirituality, metaphysics, or things that perhaps we never knew before, but they resonate with our heart. It's that message that brings forth an awakening and clarity that we're truly seeking along a spiritual path. And so today I'm delighted to have a very special guest who just recently reached out to me. He's an author of a number of books. His name is W.L. Rodrigues, and he is a channeler delivering messages from higher spirits and the Galactic Federation through a book series called The Spirit's Files. Messages are intended to guide our spiritual evolution during the current planetary transition that we are living in. Well, thank you, W.L. Rodrigues, for jumping on the show.
Thank you so much, Ron, and thanks everyone here for me being in this channel. Um, I haven't reached out to you, Ron, because I really thought that everything that you have shared in this channel so far, it's just amazing. I think that it is really enlightening and it resonates a lot with the work that I'm doing here.
Super. Well, before we could dive into sharing a little bit more about your story, because there's a lot of curious questions. I have a whole notebook of questions here. So, um, yeah, I just want to shout out to the audience that if you're listening to this at this moment, if you could do us a super favor. I know you hear all the podcasters say this, but it would really, really help if you could like the video, hit the thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel. And if you really love the messages that are being shared through this channel, hit the notification bell, because that way you'll get a notification every time we publish something. But also, if you look down below where the subscribe button is on YouTube, you'll see W.L. Rodrigues's channel as well as my channel. So if you can actually subscribe to his channel as well, because he's in the process of actually building his audience, and all this really, really helps us both. So thank you so much for helping us. It creates a logarithm and awareness on a level of YouTube that we're all seeking to expand in. So, anyways, let me go into the questions here, but let me first start, WL, with if you could kind of bring us up to speed. You weren't born a channeler, right? I take that wasn't something you woke up. You just instantly day one you're channeling. Something happened in your life that led you down this road. And if you could just share a little bit of your background so we understand, what led you to this.
Of course, and that's quite a story, Ron. Um, I've always been very close to spirituality in my whole life. My father, he was a medium. He is a medium. My brother is a medium, uh, and I have been. I grew up, around all of these books, all this amazing things happening, and I always had, this feeling that I wanted to be like that, to do to help doing things like that, and but I never did. I had some lots of paranormal cases during my life, but I was never able to channel anything
Hmm.
until that was 20 last year, 2025, actually, when the day that the new pope was elected. I think it was May 8th, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. I was sleeping. I was about to wake to start my work, and a normal day just like any other. Uh, I woke up sooner then I had to, like, if I don't remember now, but let's say that I had to wake up at 8, I woke up at 7:30, something like that. But and then I did what most people would do. I said, okay, let me sleep a little bit more. I just want to be here, cozy in my bed. And and that's when the incredible happened. I had an out of body experience. That was not the first time I had that. And when I had this out of body experience, I I found myself transported to a room that was a dark room, uh, very simple, with only a bed, a very simple bed, where I could see clearly some a ray of light coming from above, right where my head was,
Hmm.
and there was an open door, and it was pretty bright outside. And I was intrigued with that light. It was interesting because it looked like it was almost solid, so I could touch that light. It was very, very different. And then I was not scared at all. I decided to check what was outside that room. So I did it. And when I was outside, I was uh, in a court, in the middle of a corridor, and there were several doors, just like my room, but they were all closed. So that was the only open door, and the other ones were closed. And then I decided to explore the area. Um, I in my when I'm having my out of body experiences, I'm able to fly or use telekinesis. And that time I decided to fly and take a look at the area. It was a huge place. It was enormous. Uh, it looked like I was floating at a park. People down there could see me. I could see people. And then when I decided to get to go down to land, I was in a very open place where a tall an older woman and with a man. The woman, I would say she would be in her 60s, her 50s, 60s, something like that. He would be in his 30s. She approached me and she asked me if we could do a quick prayer. And I said, well, of course. So we held hands, and at that moment, she started guiding the prayer.
Mhm.
But first of all, it wasn't in any known language I have ever seen. And I love studying languages. I have never seen anything similar to what she was doing there. And as she was doing that, conducting that prayer, she started to grow in height, in presence, and not uh, in a way that would impose fear, but just like she was actually that prayer was amplifying her.
Hmm.
And after she finished, she returned to her normal state. She looked at me and said, okay, now you're ready, and the Pleiadians will contact you. And then I looked at her, with the same question mark that you're doing right now. What? What's going on? And then I woke up from that experience, right,
Hmm.
as a regular normal day. And that was funny because I didn't have any idea how to connect or be in contact with these Pleiadians. That was totally new to me. Of course, I heard about Pleiadians before, but never tried to contact or do anything. And then I said that I took a few weeks trying to understand what I should do, how I should move forward. And then that's when the channeling idea came forward.
Hmm.
And I decided to start channeling twice a week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I scheduled, let's say, I think it was a Thursday, but I scheduled, say, okay, this particular day, I'll start. Let's have a session. I try to do a prayer, connect with these Pleiadians, whatever I could do to say, hey, this particular date, this particular time, that's when we're going to start. I'll be there. And that's when everything started. During that session, I took a piece of paper. I prepared myself. I protected myself. Did some prayer. And then I said, okay, I'm ready. I took my pen. It was a black pen. I took my pen. I took the sheet of paper, and I said, okay, let's start. My expectation was that my hand would start writing by itself. Something would happen there.
Hmm.
Ron, nothing happened at all. Nothing. I stayed the whole session. I think I scheduled about an hour. I, I, I was there the whole hour, holding that pen, looking at that paper, and nothing happened
Hmm.
except for one thing. I clearly saw in my mind the drawing of a heart.
Hmm.
Like if I would draw a heart, in a sheet of paper, a simple heart, just like a kid would draw. That's what I saw. That was it. And well, an hour passed, the session ended. I had to work, and I thought, okay, that was a total failure. I don't know what I did something terribly wrong. Or these guys, they decided, oh no, we don't want to talk to that guy anymore. And then later that day, when I was taking a shower, then I had an aha moment.
Hmm.
What if my hand wasn't supposed to write by itself, right? Or I would channel with my mouth or anything like that. But what if they were showing me a picture and I would
Hmm.
have to just draw that picture, just copy what they were showing me?
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? I will try that in our next session. And then I waited. There I was, the next session, did my prayer, my protection, my sheet of paper in front of me. I took the same pen. By the way, the pen that I was using had a black ink.
Hmm.
And the drawing that I saw, the heart, was black.
Hmm.
And I started doing that. So I started at the very moment that I started the session, that same picture came to my mind, the exact same one. So I decided just to draw that, that heart. Ron, immediately after I did that, it was like the floodgates were open.
Hmm.
Immediately after I drew that, the letter A came
Hmm.
up. And then I wrote the letter A. And then the letter B, C, D. until a point where the letters started to come randomly. And I started to write down all those letters and
Right.
characters and numbers. And so I understood that they were testing or calibrating me so I could write down the messages.
Mm.
And after the letters, then short words. And of course, after the in the other sessions, things were started to evolve, where I started putting together small phrases, and then very, very, very tiny messages. And it was like, I think 2 weeks after, I was pretty fluent writing down
Mhm.
whatever the mental impressions were coming, were coming. So, and that's where I started to document all those messages, and I decided to publish them as books. Not because I want to be an author or because I want to get earn money from that. By the contrary, all these books, they are basically free or at production cost. So I tried to do some YouTube at
Yep.
first. If people watching me here, if you go to my first YouTube videos, I'm I'm sorry. I really I need to say I'm sorry. They're terrible. I'm not a YouTuber. I just were not able to do that. But I left them there because I wanted the messages to be there. So
And we
it,
all start somewhere. So yeah.
it and then so I decided to focus more on the books, right?
Mhm.
And that's when I started writing, messages. Different spirits would come up. Uh, that's an important thing. First, I didn't have any Pleiadian coming up front. Those were spirits. So there was one called Mary Austin. There was another one called Brother X, and so on. So I started writing those messages down. They were pretty, uh, even though they were small, they were pretty direct, guiding people to be better. Uh,
So
Good words.
yeah, quick question is, first of all, would you say you're probably more clairvoyant because you said the impressions were coming, you said the heart, and then the other got you got other impressions. They were visual that you were bringing into writing. Was that
Only that happened only in the first sessions, and
okay?
then sporadically. And I can mention some specific cases later. But after I was, let's say, calibrated,
Yep.
the idea would come directly to my mind as someone would be talking to me, and I would be taking notes, right?
And was it you heard an audible voice, or you just had it like a flow state of the idea that was coming to you?
Yes, the state of the idea. So
Okay,
I
no,
could.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah. So, and then when you said no Palladians, but just these random spirits, in general, they were positive messages, and you felt like positive uh, beings bringing this information to you.
Exactly, exactly. And I was so excited because they were all very important messages until one day that a very strange message came through. And that's when I decided to say, okay, something is something's different here. There was a message. It's also in the first book that was signed by prophet Isaiah, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And it sounded like some sort of prophecy, or, it was different, very different from all the other messages. And that's when I thought, okay, so first of all, I wasn't expecting a prophet or some higher spirit
Yeah.
to give me a message because I was just talking to regular people here. um, and then I contact my brother that is I mentioned that is also a medium, and that's when I didn't tell him exactly what happened. I just told him, hey, there are some different messages coming through.
Hmm.
Could you check, with your guides, with the spirituality there to see if I'm doing something wrong? Because I don't want to do something wrong here. I just want to help people. I just want to do things right.
Hmm.
And that's when um, he never channeled any Pleiadian or Syrian or anyone, from the stars. During that session, he channeled uh, a, a being that he described that was not from Earth, definitely not from Earth, because he was used to channel gazillion messages, and he knew how a human being felt. Even though we have different shades of vibrations, but he recognized a human vibration there, and that vibration was something else. He said there was much higher. It was way different.
Hmm.
And through that message, there was some sort of orientation, and that's when I was officially introduced that I would be working with the Galactic Federation, writing down these messages along with uh, multiple spirits.
Okay.
So that's when, let's say, the real thing began, right?
Yeah.
So after that, I started to channel many messages. The series. Well, I just completed book 13.
Wow.
I hope that in the next 2 weeks I will finish book 14,
Wow.
and I receive
And you
now.
only started this a year ago.
Yeah, because I
Oh,
started twice a week. And
yeah.
now I'm doing that Monday through Friday, every
Okay.
single day. And I get at least 3 messages per
Wow.
session. Yeah. So a book has about 50 chapters, give it or take. And if I get each chapter in a book is actually a message, a single message usually. So you can imagine, I mean, 50 messages divided by three, the 5 days a week, that can get pretty
Yep.
quick, right?
Yeah. I have a couple questions,
Let's
and I
go.
don't want to interrupt the flow, but one is Galactic Federation. It's the same thing as the Galactic Federation of Light, right? Is that the same basic term?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
I've heard that through other teachers and speakers or channelers or whatever. And so right now, because you're going and you're being able to create, receive, I guess, receive that much information. You said 3 times a week. You're okay.
Hmm.
Are you writing a hand or are you typing? I mean, because I imagine you're probably typing
Good
that by now,
question.
right?
And I tried typing,
Yeah.
but I feel more comfortable writing.
Okay.
I'm faster writing with my pen than typing. And
Do they
then,
spell check you and grammar? Do they correct you with grammar or anything?
yeah, well, because I can do that, anywhere. I don't need any electronic to do that.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to do it. And every day I need to transcribe, whatever I took a note. to in the format of the book. Of course, now I use AI to do that transcription. I don't have to type everything, from
Yeah.
the sheet of paper. In the books, every single message that I revise them, of course, and they are exactly as I received.
Nice.
So yeah, there's no, let's say, AI interference there. I double check. AI sometimes tries to switch a word or change the something that was written down.
Yeah.
Then of course I correct everything in there. But yeah, basically that's how it goes.
And then share with me in the audience once again. You had said that you said you wanted to share this with the world, and you're not charging. You don't want to make any money off.
No, that's not
Okay.
even my job. I don't work
Yeah.
with that. I work with IT.
Oh,
Nothing
okay.
related.
Yeah.
Nothing related to that. Yeah. Um, I decided to publish my books for free. Then the first media, if I may put it that, or distributor that I found was Amazon, and they didn't allow me to put as $0, of course, because they have their production costs. They need to make
Yep.
money, right? So I just published there with the minimum that they allow me to do.
Yeah, I
The
was surprised. I bought the whole Kindle package, like all your books, and it was like hardly nothing. So it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, they're pretty cheap. Yeah,
yeah,
and then on Google Play, I was able to publish all of them for free.
nice.
So right now, at least from Google Play, uh, it has been since October. That was when I started Google Play. There has been more than 3,000 downloads in more than 35 countries.
Wow.
So it's growing exponentially. It's incredible. Yeah. And every single day, I receive a message from someone saying, "Hey, I love this book." And I'm just eating these books as as fast as I can because these messages are really good. I'm really glad. I mean, because look, I don't see myself as an author. I'm just a nobody, a regular guy, in the middle of the street. I just I like to say that I'm the first student in a classroom taking the notes from the teacher.
Sure.
I'm just lucky to be the first guy there taking these notes, and
Yeah.
I just share these notes with everyone else. That's my purpose. That's what I want to do, and that's what I do with all my heart. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I started reading The Call Is Now, and I haven't been able to get to the other books yet, but I'm realizing that the material is really a message to humanity about the times that we're in. And it seems to be, I would say, a um, very positive message. And yeah, some things that I guess what I'd like to do is ask some questions that just generally come to mind. I've heard from, I think it was maybe from some of the Dolores Cannon material, and I know some of our audience has listened to that, as well as other channelers share about an event that could possibly be on the horizon. And then I know there's lots of events, and we're in a time now where there's just a lot of craziness going on. But the one that seems to be quite common is everybody's asking about the solar flash or the great solar flash.
Mhm.
I know right now we're in a solar maximum, or maybe we're just in a solar maximum. Maybe it's over now, but we've had a lot of sun activity, a lot of mass coronal um, ejections, and then the Schumann resonance itself keeps going up in level, and people are now having sleep cycles being off, and so many things. My ears ring sometimes when when it's you're feeling that vibration, but the solar flash. if you could share a little bit about what they shared with you, what is it? Do we have to worry about anything? Just yeah, what is the solar flash?
Of course, that's a very good question. Well, Earth is going through what is called a planetary transition.
Mm,
So we're leaving behind a world of trials and expiations, and we're moving into a planet of regeneration.
mm,
And this is a big, big movement that is happening. So, in a world of trials and expiations, that's when we are constantly trying to survive. We are uh, locked into what many people call a matrix, right? Or these cycles where we are here to learn through reincarnation, multiple lives, but still, life after life, we come here and it seems that we're not learning. We're very hard learners, to deal with. And but there is a moment where the whole planet also there is a graduation moment. Let me put it that way, and that is the moment when the planet transitions to a world of regeneration, where we are not anymore incarnating here to pay off our karma or whatever we would call from past our debts from past lives, whatever we did wrong and we're trying to pay that off. We are now trying to contribute to the world, and
mm.
we're now making it a better place to live. So that's where the regeneration planet starts. And these last years, we're right at what we call the apex of this planetary transition, right?
Mm.
That's where we have seen many, many different things going on throughout the world and in our recent history that we would not even think about, let's say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? We were living in different times. The solar flash is one of these events.
Okay.
It is a moment where it, it has multiple layers, if I may put it that way. The first layer, let's talk about our physical world, right? So this event would we can associate what has been called as 3 days of darkness
Hmm.
by many prophets, many people, and it's not gonna it won't be uh, a real darkness in the sense that the sun is going dark or everything will be surrounded by bad spirits, something like that. It will be more something towards the our electric grid
Yeah.
and internet that will really collapse
Mm.
temporarily. So we will be all offline, off grid, and that will be very important. Number one, for us to be disconnected from all these electronics, our this vicious cycles,
Yep.
because most of us we wake up, first thing we do, we grab our phones, right? Last thing we do before we go to sleep, we we put our phones off, right?
Yeah.
And that is a vicious cycle with social media, with streaming. That there are, of course, the good part of that, all of that, but there's also the bad part, and
Mm.
that will be a moment where we'll be forced to leave that alone and just live,
Mm.
right? And that will be also a moment where, as we are receiving a lot of uh, if I may put it this way, data uh, from the sun that is enhancing our DNA, enabling us to develop a better spirituality and some things that we were not able to do before. For example, our mediumship might be more active.
Mhm.
Our ability to for telepathic abilities and things like that. So that is from a 3D perspective, our world perspective. From the spiritual side, there's
Mm.
also something huge going on. Um, we the During that solar flash, it will assist in collecting all those dark souls that has been living on the planet
Mhm.
for thousands, millions of years
Yeah.
here. And they will be gently invited or forcibly invited to move to other planets and continue their journeys elsewhere, not on Earth. Because when we move to a planet of regeneration, they cannot be here.
Mm.
First, they do not have the same vibration as the planet, as everyone else. So if they want to stay, they really want to, they need to change. But most of them, they do not want to change. So they
Mm.
will have to continue their journeys in other orbs. So that's when the solar flash will also do this cleansing, if I may put it this way,
Yeah.
throughout the planet. And in the meantime, that we will be also receiving all these upgrades in the 3D world.
Okay. So in a way, what that sounds a little bit like the law of one material, which talked about the small percentage of service to self, um, controllers or manipulators or darker energetics or whatever. They would be the ones that would be moving to another planet to
Exactly.
continue on with relative to that vibration that they're in. How about the lower astral beings? Like I know um, sometimes there's what we would call parasitic entities and things like that. Would that also would they be moving them to that other realm as well, or?
It depends. That's a very good question. What is happening right now in the spiritual world is that all these good Samaritans, if I may put it this way,
Yeah.
there is a huge, a global task force that they are going to these individuals and explaining the situation and say, hey, do you really want to stay where you are? Or do you want to come with me, to a more protected place, to a happier place, to restart your journey, with a fresh new start? And the good news is that a lot of these people, they are accepting the invite,
Okay.
but they're still the strugglers. And they might, they are comfortable. Well, they think they're comfortable where they are and say, no, I don't want to hear about that. I don't want it. So I just want to stay here. And whenever this solar flash comes, they will also be the ones going to be moved to other orbs.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot. So the question I have is, so the solar flash, I know when we talk about the term of ascension, that might be not just one moment in time, it might be a window, but would the
Mhm.
solar flash be like the definite moment of this, I don't know, going from what we would call 3D to 4D? I know some people say 5D, but is that
Division. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, it would be the exact division when our world stops being this planet of expiations and trials, and
Yeah.
will start this new Earth, this new world where, well, we'll be it. And just being clear here, it's not that one day we're gonna wake up in a paradise, right? Everything
Yeah.
will be beautiful. No, it is a transition period. So we'll be at the very beginning. So, and we'll start building, this civilization that in what, 100 years, 200 years, then that's what will be a much better place than today, right?
Okay. So that event again, just there would be probably just the one solar flash, or would there be multiple ones? And then I guess the question would be like, how's I feel like it's going to be soon. That for some reason, but in your work and what you're doing and the message you're bringing forth, what do they share with you? Like when do we foresee that event probably happening?
Yeah. Well, what they are saying, at least the Galactic Federation, is that the latest message was, we, as mankind, we are at a point where we need to decide, right?
Hmm.
We are at the very, let's say, the day prior to graduation. So, do you really want to graduate or not?
Yeah.
If you want to graduate, you got to do your homework right now. You don't need to be a saint. You don't need to be the perfect person, but start your journey. Just, do one step at a time, baby steps, but start doing that. That's what is expected from us. Because if we're not even doing that, if we're not interested, then, well, we'll need to be invited to move to other orbs, right?
Hmm.
The um the thing here is that this is a process, right?
Yeah.
The solar flash may not occur or happen if we all do our homework,
Hmm.
because then there is no need for that. There's
Hmm.
no need for an abrupt change if we all understood the lesson, right?
Hmm.
That's not exactly what we have seen. We have been seeing so far, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people worldwide that they're still, involved in their prejudices, in hate, and everything that, well, that's not compatible with New Earth.
Hmm.
So, what the Galactic Federation says is that, well, if we are able to do that, you don't need such an event. But if you need it, it would be pretty soon.
Okay.
They do not give me specifics. They used to tell me, hey, there is a probability, it is around the corner, the next couple months or something like that. But what I can say is that they have reported their preparations for this event, and they have completed the preparations. So if the solar flash happens today, they're ready.
Yeah.
If it happens in 10 years from now, they're also ready. So, but they did not give me a specific date, unfortunately.
That's okay. I want to dive a little deeper, WL, into what you just shared about if you said, like, if we do the work, if we decide and we do the work, what do they tell you as far as what are some of the best practices that we can do, whether it's to embody more love or to whatever? I know I read some of this in your book, but what is some of those basic things that an average human can do, who's watching this video right now, that might be able to raise their vibration, I guess? What is a good practice?
Well, the if I may uh, resume the whole series in one
Yeah.
word, that would be love,
Hmm.
and that's the main teaching. So we got to understand better what love is. We might know the concept, but do we really put that into practice in our lives, right? And because it's easy to love my son, to love my daughter, to love my wife, my husband, my father, my mother, but love goes beyond that.
Hmm.
And we can clearly see that today in our world. Do you love somebody that thinks different from you? Do you love someone that has a different religion or a social status or a different color, a different nationality, right? So that is, do you love someone that is just a walking, in the mall?
Hmm.
That's the kind of thing that we need to make to be better.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be better. We need to uh, go past this very circumscribed kind of love and start to look at the world with other eyes
Yeah.
and embrace people.
Good point. Yeah. Love is the answer. And I would also say it seems as if anybody, and there's a lot of people that carry trauma that is like conditioning trauma or their shadow work or whatever you want to call it. There's something that's underlying that knee-jerk reaction or that trigger. Uh, do they say anything about ways that maybe we can address that to be able to, whether it's stillness or meditation or prayer or, yeah, because I think that's sometimes is a struggle for, we all want to love, but we can get unconsciously triggered by, things on the news. So, so
Yep.
is there anything that they share about, that?
Yes, and that's a very good point because a lot of that, like you said, they're just triggered, right? There is we go into an automatic mode.
Hmm.
One big advice that they say is that try to, day by day, try to get off that automatic mode. So
Hmm.
you will be put into many situations where you will be invited to exercise that and practice that, right,
Hmm.
in our daily lives. So, first of all, hear better than talk. At,
Hmm.
at the moment that you hear people, you put yourself, you disarm yourself, right? And you put into a more passive position where you are an equal. You're not above because that's an automatic reaction, right? So
Yeah.
you want to be above that person. You want to be the person, that is right. And when you start to listen, you start that connection. You start to understand the person, try to understand what's going on in the head of that person. And then you can speak because now
Hmm.
you have sufficient information with you that you will be able to do much better than just react,
Hmm.
right? So that's number one. Number two is they every time they mention that we have many friends around us, spiritual friends. We have our planetary spirituality. We have our mentors, our guides. We have family and friends that already passed. We have the Galactic Federation. There are many sources,
Hmm.
many people that are every day doing miracles in our lives that we just don't know, we don't see, but they're here and they're
Yeah.
holding our hands. In whenever you're laughing or if you're crying, they're there holding your hand And we got to remember that more. We got to remember that we have this help. And as we remember that, we will not be trapped into a situation where only our ego wants to resolve the situation. So
Hmm.
I know that now I'm in a situation where I have all these people that they are giving me, good thoughts or intuitions, and maybe I should hear these good intuitions if I can calm down my mind and
Hmm.
start absorbing what's coming, right?
So we have an invisible team with us 24/7.
Oh
And
yeah. I mean, the
yeah.
the 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 spiritual plane, our plane, our 3D world universe is just a speck of dust compared to the whole hyper universe and spiritual plane, where we're just nothing compared to that.
Hmm.
So, and that is a very interesting topic because in this very last book that I published called Scientia et Anima, the title is Latin for science and soul.
Hmm.
It tries to put together both science and spirituality, and it has a couple sections explaining what is the spiritual realm, how is our universe, how is the hyper universe or the collection of parallel universes, and a bunch of things that try to open our mind that we are not alone. We're really not alone in this universe.
That would be a great one to read. So that's your most recent book?
That's the most recent book. This one over here, it's called Scientia et Anima.
Okay. So I probably did download that one too. I feel
You're gonna
like
love it.
I feel like I'm going to jump ahead to that one. Yeah.
13, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to go from book 1 to
Yeah.
13. Pick one. Pick one
Yeah.
that calls, that resonates with you, because they even if you pick one single book, you can open that anywhere.
Yeah.
Each, because they are different messages. So each message, they might, if there is a connection, I will call that out, say, hey, this guy also appeared in another book. So, I give a brief overview, but
Okay.
the message is pretty straightforward. You don't need to read the other books to go through that. Scientia et Anima, that is a more complex reading because it felt like a university course.
Oh wow.
I had, instead of having just, let's say, 3 or 4 messages in a session, I had the whole session for just one single person, one single professor from the Galactic Federation, and they would talk about whatever they had to talk about in each chapter. I think there are about 4 or 5 different professors. Uh, Things from how the universe is, the structure of the universe, the morphology of our souls, stargates, interdimensional logistics,
Yeah.
interspecies sociology. So it's pretty interesting book.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I guess the question I probably should have asked this at the beginning because I know a lot of your material you're referencing the Galactic Federation or the Galactic Federation of Light. Can you explain to the audience, especially to maybe somebody who maybe hasn't heard of that term before, who is or who are the Galactic Federation and what is their what is their role in everything, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
And
Good.
there's probably various people or like I hear Commander Ashtar sometimes, and But if you could just explain that to our audience a little bit of uh, the um, the understanding around a Galactic Federation.
Of course, the Galactic Federation um, started was born during a very tense moment in our galaxy. A long, long, long time ago, millions of years ago, there was a pretty intense war in the Orion Belt arm. I'm sorry, Orion arm. That's where planet Earth is in our galaxy, where the Reptilian Empire and the some insectoid factions, they got together and they started to invade and dominate other worlds.
Hmm.
So it was a very intense and a very difficult moment, to say, the least, during those times. And of course, there was resistance there. Those that resisted were, of course, trying to battle these guys, go against the Reptilian Empire, until a point where that war took hundreds, thousands of years, and they started to crumble.
Hmm.
People from the empire started to question themselves, saying, "Hey, are we doing the right thing here?
Hmm.
Why are we doing this?" You know. And when this questioning started, the empire started to crumble. It still exists, but
Hmm.
not as that mm, mega empire from
Yeah.
before. At that moment, when light started to become bigger than that dark force, the Galactic Federation was created. There was the union of many civilizations that were fighting together against the empire, this empire. Today, well, that evolved. It started with a council, a
Hmm.
simple council, and now the Galactic Federation is not only restricted to our own universe, but it receives. They mentioned that in the last book that on a daily basis they receive messengers from other universes that they didn't even know existed.
Hmm.
So it's an ever growing uh, community, if I may put it this way, a community of intergalactic civilizations. Let me rephrase it: advanced and benevolent civilizations. Okay.
Okay.
And their goal is to help others, service to others,
Hmm.
and making sure that planets just like Earth, that is going through a planetary transition, they can assist energetically, they can better prepare people, just like I mentioned, with messages that can make people better wake from their 3D reality to a more conscious reality.
Nice. So, in summary, they are here to assist us during these times. This awakening or ascension, they're here to assist us, not necessarily do it 100% for us, right? But guide us. Okay.
That's a good point. That's a good point. They're not here to do anything for us.
Yeah.
We got to do our job because that's our planet. They're not our saviors.
Yep.
And that's, I think, I have seen this misconception out there that people are expecting the aliens to come and take
Yeah.
them, right? And it doesn't work like that. They
Yeah.
are, let's see them as our teachers, our elder brothers.
Yep.
They're here to say, you know what? I'm now in high school. But you, human, that you are in kindergarten, you got to learn, how to read, how to write, how to do math, all that kind of stuff. And little by little, you'll get there.
Yeah,
But you got to start that work. You got to do that now. So that's what basically they're doing. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, that makes sense. And it is also somewhat the human conditioning to seek the savior outside of the self. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
that's one thing that they always mention is that they're not here to be gods. They're
yeah,
not gods. They're just regular folks, just like us, you and me. It's just that they have more experience, right? They
yep,
can tell us, guide us. That's it. But they put themselves just, side by side as us.
yeah,
So yeah, we they're not less than us, but they're not above. They're just brothers.
brothers. Yeah. So the other questions I have is because of this time that we're in, where we see this bit of polarity back and forth. Um, and as you just said, that even though whatever word you want to call it, the reptilians, the negatives, or the service to self others, there's a small amount probably still mm, having its effect on our planetary realm of Earth
Yeah.
and projecting fear, keeping people divided. So my question is, you start to hear these things about there's that possibility of the control agenda coming back in, or I've even heard this Project Bluebeam or the fake alien invasion. And I don't know if that's come across any of the channeling that you've done, but this is out there. And of course, is this just another fear thing that somebody's throwing out there? Um, Share with me what you might know.
Good point. First of all, there are all shades of aliens,
Hmm.
just like humans. You cannot say, hey, pick two boxes. This is good, this is bad, and say, okay, where does human fit?
Yeah,
Are we good or are we bad? We can't do that, right? The same thing with aliens. I mean, we can take a box, say all aliens are good or bad. There is a gradient, right? And there are still, like I said, the reptilian empire is still out there, but they do not have any interest on Earth. We don't have enough technological advancements to for them to say, oh, okay, I want to invade that guy.
yeah,
So, but what they have said is that there is a plan for them to officially make first contact. Initially, what you're going to see here and what we have seen there has been many UFO activity worldwide in the past years. Most of them they're not from the Federation,
okay,
so they are other aliens. They You don't want to mess with them. Let me put it this way. So, for example, the Greys,
hmm,
and they don't they are very pretty much uh, service to self, and they don't care about what you want. So one thing that they mention is if you see something, any activity up in the sky, do not try to contact them. Do not just go keep going, don't interact because you don't know who that is, right?
sure,
There will be a moment. They mentioned that it can be if the solar flash happens, then it would be probably a year after the solar flash. If it doesn't happen, we're ready. It would be much sooner than that. there would be the first step that would be what they call a dance of lights.
Hmm.
The dance of lights is a moment where multiple people in different parts of the world, they're going to look at the sky and see some strange lights, colorful lights, and they will be there almost like dancing in the sky. And that is the first moment where because the Galactic Federation, they don't want to come here with a giant mothership, just like Independence Day. So people would just get crazy. That would be, it would be a total chaos, right?
Hmm.
So they would come to us just like an adult would do with a baby, with a little toy, say, "Hey, baby, I'm here. Don't cry." So don't be afraid. So that's the same concept. They would come. They would have these dance of lights during the night. During the day, we wouldn't see those UFOs, but at some point, then we would start seeing those ships in the sky
Hmm.
during daylight. And that's when things get interesting because they say that it would be just like when a friend would come to your house, they would knock at your door and wait for you to open your door.
Hmm.
So it's something similar to that. They are the friends that came here. They are there at our doorstep. They're just waiting us to say, okay, you can come in. So if we start to shoot them, if we start to be aggressive, they're not. We're not opening the door.
Yeah.
But at that moment, we just need to vibrate and welcome them, so they will descend and actually get out of their ships and do officially first contact with us.
So, WL, the question I have is that makes sense. It's like baby steps, incrementally getting people. First, they're looking up at the sky. They're getting used to seeing lights or activity in the sky. Something's being accepted at that level. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they're now more open. They're seeing ships and everything. Would that happen after the solar flash? Because it seems to me like the there would need to be an upgrade in our level of vibration of
Yeah,
humanity, something that would get us to a point where we could then go to that next step. I don't know. Does that make sense?
exactly. Yes, it makes total sense because, and that's why they mentioned that about a year after the solar flash. Because remember that I mentioned that all those darker brothers, they would be removed from this orb, so you would not have that urge towards violence against
Okay.
them. You would be now under another vibration because you're just yourself. You don't have anyone else here saying, "Hey, do this, do that." Um, you can decide by yourself,
Hmm.
and that helps raising the vibration, right? Or, of course, if there is no solar flash, if we raise our
Yeah,
vibration, we're already ready for that, right?
we're already ready for that. Okay, that makes sense. Now, do they talk a little bit about the revamping or recreating of systems, like a healthcare system or a financial system, or I mean, it seems to me that the more I think that you become aware of one thing, it's this conversation I had with a friend the other day. It's like if you find one lie, there's probably more. So in understanding that, there's whether it's even our history, sometimes our history's been told incorrectly. Um, yeah, so within the systems, whether it's education, medical, pharmaceutical, I guess it would even touch religion, financial for sure. Do they say anything about a reset or something being changed? in those systems?
Yes. Well, starting with the health system, right? They have the Galactic Federation of Light. They have a technology called the med beds.
I've heard of that.
So,
Yeah.
so the med bed is basically a whole hospital fully equipped into a bed.
Wow.
Let me put it this way. So they can diagnose not only from your 3D perspective, but from your spiritual perspective as well. So they can realign your chakras. They can do spiritual surgery through that. That is kind of technology that would be available when Earth after first contact, but not immediately after that. It would be sometime in the future. Okay. They didn't mention when, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be something immediate. Let me put it this way. Another change is what people call a financial collapse or Gesara, or
Yep.
there are many names out there. I'm sorry to inform, but that's not how people are thinking, because I have seen a lot of people thinking that once we meet the Galactic Federation of Light, our debts are over.
Yeah. Make what's that song about becoming a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not how things work. I mean, there will not be a miracle overnight. We're not going to be, debit free. Uh, but the our conscience towards money would start changing.
Hmm.
And one example that they gave me is that the intention behind that a financial transaction will count a lot. Let me give
Intention.
you an yeah.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Let me tell you that I'm going to sell you this pen, okay?
Mhm.
And you're interested. Say, oh, okay, I need a pen. So you give me the money, I give you the pen, right? Nothing wrong. That's our 3D perspective, right? Um, but you don't know how I got that pen. What if I killed someone for that pen?
Hmm.
The other way around. What if your money comes from something that you did that was not so nice, right?
Yeah.
So the intention behind this transaction now changes a lot, right? So it's not only give me the money, I give you the pen. Now it is, okay, what is the energy around this transaction? Is it
Hmm.
good? Does it does it make sense that I spend my money here buying that pen with all that history? Can I just purchase that pen from someone else?
Hmm.
Or do I really want to sell this pen to you because I don't like that energy,
Yeah.
right? So that kind of transaction now, a simple transactions will start to migrate to a higher vibration where we're gonna be more conscious, right?
Hmm.
So that's where the major change in financial system will happen.
Okay. Is it partly because maybe we're becoming more telepathic and our sense of communication is more transparent, I guess?
Yes, yes, exactly. Everything will be more transparent.
Okay.
Uh, that we are entering a moment where they call we're becoming Homo universalis.
Oh, I like that. Homo
Yeah,
universalis. Okay.
yeah. And at that moment, we are we're we'll be vibrating just like New Earth, right?
Hmm.
So we will not allow ourselves to let's say, just like we do today, we have restrictions worldwide about blood diamonds, right?
Yeah.
So if you take that idea, right, and you apply it to everything else, every single transaction, that's the exact same thing. But you will know, you will feel, you look at that person and you feel, I don't want to do this transaction. The energy here, that's not that's not good, right? Just like, for example, many of us, when we go into a place, right, and we're there and we feel that this
Yeah.
environment, it's weird. You have that feeling that you got to get out of there. It's just not resonating with you. That would be
Yeah.
the same thing with a transaction.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I would say that they shared anything about diet? Like, so because the reason why I'm asking that is because there's an energy around. I have a friend who's very empathic, and he says he could feel basically the way the cow was slaughtered. Like he could feel the animals being mistreated, and he's like, it's in the meat, and he senses that.
Yep.
And for that reason, he actually has gone completely, pretty much vegetarian. But so, do they share anything about as we evolve? Is there a shift within our diet or anything else relative to our health and well-being practices that, like
Yeah.
blessing our food, maybe praying over? I don't know. Is there anything that they share about that?
Yeah, that's a good point. First of all, they incentive to become a vegetarian a lot. But that's something that they say, hey, uh, make sure that you do the baby steps, right?
Okay.
Don't just change your diet overnight just because, right? Make
Yeah.
sure that your doctor agrees with you with your next step. You can do that, step by step. I did that. Uh, I didn't. I could not abandon all meat. I mean, I do not eat cow, pork, chicken anymore. But one friend of mine said that I'm a pescatarian.
Fish.
I
Yeah.
Yes, so I eat fish, but I don't eat other kinds of meat
Yeah.
anymore. They incentive that we first of all we are thankful. We don't need to pray exactly, but if you can emanate love, if you can emanate being thankful for that food in front of you, that's enough.
Hmm. Gratitude. Yes. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah. Wow. Well, this has been a great interview. This is a lot of great information shared. Is there anything else that's maybe at the tip of your tongue that you want to share, or things that you know that are within some of your books that you feel would be great for the audience to know?
Ron, I would spend like 3 more hours here with you. What I can say is, I I invite everyone that if they can go to Google Play,
Yep.
download the books. I usually tell Google Play because that's free. So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
You can go there. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. If you want the books in paper, of course, you go to Amazon. If you prefer reading through a Kindle device, go to Amazon. Unfortunately, it's not free there, like I explained, but go there, try to explore these messages. Pick a book, look at the covers, at the titles, see the anyone that might have resonated with you. And maybe there is, like I said, our good Samaritans that are right there with you saying, hey, why don't you pick that book? Why don't you check that particular chapter? Because there might be a message that might change you. And I think it will. I mean, it changed me. I mean, like I said, I'm the first guy, taking the notes. So uh, I'm still doing my best to do my changes. I'm an imperfect being, but I have gotten a lot better through these messages. That would be my invitation here.
Yeah, that's perfect because you know what happened to me when I was trying to skim through your book? I was page by page by page. And when I went down to the in the Kindle, this is the way the Kindle app's on.
Mhm.
It actually took me to a page way up ahead of, like, I skipped over a lot, but the message was perfect. And it was the one about telling the reader, we need to get away from media and news, get out into nature, get away from the cell phones and stuff like where I really loved reading that. So it magically took me to the page that
That you
I
needed,
I
right?
needed to see. Yeah. So would you be willing to come on the show again?
Of course, it will be a blessing.
Yeah, so maybe what we'll do is I'll reach back out to you. I'm thinking I might even try to read, like, some of our viewers may have questions. So maybe I'll get questions, and I can just see a lot coming from this because there are people with book clubs and things like that. And of course, you've got a number of books, but let's think about that. Think about getting you back on the show. I want people, just another shout out to WL Rodrigues and his YouTube channel, which is called Spirit File. What the Spirit
Files.
Files? Yep, we're in it again. That link is down below. You probably see the double link right next to the video. I'll put the other links in the chat for in the description for the Google access through Google or Kindle for your books. And your social, do you want me to share your social media? I think you have a Facebook one you want me to share too, right?
Yeah, there is a Facebook page, yeah, that I'm in the YouTube channel that you just mentioned. Yep.
Great. So yeah, we want, obviously the purpose of doing these videos is for people to be able to follow and connect with WL Rodrigues, and yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything that you shared. This opens the door for so many more questions, and like I said, we would love to have you come back on for an additional episode.
Ron, I'm the one that must say thank you here, not only to you, but to all your viewers here. Thank you so much for your time. It's been just a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.